Before 2005, what did you do?
Before 2005, I used to work in fried chicken in New York City. Yeah.
What kind of fried chicken store?
It's a fried chicken restaurant.
So you could open the fried chicken restaurant, and this building would have been suitable for that, correct?
Not the location, but the building, the size of the building, but not the type of business that it is.
All right, let me just drill down on that. You said the building would be suitable, correct?
Yes, I don't have the experience.
I'm not asking about your experience, I'm asking about the building. Would the building at 22 Mill Street be suitable for a fried chicken establishment?
Yes, yes.
It has a parking lot, correct?
Yes.
And you could have a walk-up window there if you wanted to, correct?
Yes.
Could you have put apartments in there if you wanted to?
Apartments?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know.
You could have knocked it down and made it a park if you.
Beyond my experience, you know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm into live poultry. I started when I was young. My father started this business, so this is the experience I have.
I'm not talking about your experience. I'm only talking about the building at 22 Mill Street. How long? You've worked real estate before, right?
Yes.
So you can look at real estate and size it up.
Yes.
And you can look at real estate and say, this is what I wanted to. This is what you could do with it, correct?
Right. I look at it from my experience.
Okay, but you have fried chicken experience, right?
I worked in fried chicken, so I don't have the experience to run the business, but I worked in it.
You worked in a fried chicken restaurant, though, correct?
Yes.
That building there could be a fried chicken restaurant, couldn't it?
It could be, yes, it could be, yeah, but I don't have the, you know, the experience to open it up.
Would you agree with me that there are no other poultry or live animal places in that neighborhood?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that that use would change the character of the neighborhood?
Yes, and then also, let me make a comment.
I don't have any, he's going to get a chance to ask you some other questions.
No.
You would agree with me that the use would change the character of the neighborhood, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. There's nothing about this building physically that requires it to be a live poultry place, correct?
Oh, I don't understand the question.
Okay. There's nothing about this building that only makes it a place that you can do live poultry in. You can do a fried chicken store, you can do...
I think if I do live poultry is the best business because most of my...
Okay, one second. It's the best business, but it's not the only business. Is that correct?
Not the only business, yes.
It could be a restaurant, correct?
Could
be an apartment building, correct?
Yes.
Could be a place where you fix cars, correct?
Yes.
In fact, 22 Mill Street is where people fix cars at now, correct?
Right.
I have no more questions. Thank you.
No, we have nothing further.
I had an argument.
So, in this Darby location, how many chickens do you plan on having there?
It depends. Like, to be honest with you, most of my customers on Woodland Avenue come from Darby and Sharon Hill.
How many chickens do you have at that location?
At that location, about maybe 700, 800 a week.
In the building that
Yeah,
they
no, it's like, you know, we're selling like maybe 150. We're not allowed from the USDA inspector. We're not allowed to keep anything more than 2 weeks. So everything gotta sell out before. I'm sure every 4 days we have a new load. The chicken will not stay there because USDA inspection will come and inspect. Sometimes they come in every week, sometimes every other week. They inspect the chicken, they count the chicken, they make sure that we buy the chicken from tested companies.
And how about rabbits and goats? How about the other goats?
Rabbit and goat, no, this is not, it's not selling like about maybe 5, 6 a week. It's just special orders. A lot of people, when they have newborn or celebration and Ramadan or maybe Christmas, family together, they order and then I bring the lamb and do it for them right away.
What would be the hours of operation?
It will be from 8 to 6, 8 in the morning to 6 p.m.
Monday through Sunday?
7 days.
Monday through Saturday?
Monday through Sunday, about 7 days.
So, chickens make a lot of noise. And how do you control the noise?
Actually, not too much noise. You can't hear them to the street. You never hear them to outside. If you have doors, if they're in this room, you never hear it from outside the door. So it's not too much noise. They don't make a little bit noise. It's not too much.
Well, you said you're going to have, they come in and inspect your chickens to make sure you don't have any left over. Now, suppose you don't sell a whole lot that week. What do you do with the ones you don't sell?
I have to lower the prices. So I know I will start little by little, you know, it's not, I'm not gonna fill it up. We don't fill up the stores like chicken. Only in the holidays. In Thanksgiving, we have a lot of turkeys. Christmas, we have Ramadan, we have a lot of chickens, Ramadan. But regular days, it's like seasonal. This business is seasonal. Usually the busiest time of the week is Saturday and Sunday when people are, when you know, all the kids are home, all families are off. So usually the busiest is Saturday and Sunday. But inspector will coming every week and they count the chickens. And they count the bills. I have to show the bill. They have to see the bill where I'm buying the chicken, who I'm buying the chicken from. And
Well, now, how does the inspector know a chicken if it hadn't been there for a couple of weeks?
no,
How can he tell?
no.
I mean, you don't sell 100 and maybe 200 chickens every week.
Yes, but they know by the bill. They'll count the chicken and then they'll know how much chicken there are in the bills. And also, there's another thing. We do cleaning. It's from the USDA regulation that we must empty the store every 3 months, clean and sanitize the whole building before we open again. Then the inspector will come in the morning and check the building, and then we'll open.
So you have to clean it every day?
Every 3 months. No, we do.
Every 3 months?
No, that's the inspector cleaning. We have to empty the store.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to empty everything. And then we have to clean, sanitize, and they come with the small lab samples to test the property, the drains, everything. And then if everything is okay, they'll tell us, okay, you open tomorrow. That's every 3 months. But cleaning is every day. We clean the shelves every day. Yeah, twice a day. It depends how many chicken, but most of the time we clean twice a day, morning and night. Floor, we'll have water pressure machines all over. So you wash the floors, the walls, sometimes even the ceilings with the water pressures and hose.
Now, how do you think your neighbors across the street would feel about this?
Well, I mean, to have the experience, I respect everybody's opinion, I respect all the neighbors, but I have the experience, I will clean everything daily, I'll make sure there's no trash outside, the whole property is clean, every day. Yeah. So.
Speaking of the neighbors, either immediately adjacent to the property or within close proximity, there are residences, private residences within close proximity of the property.
Right. Yes. There is.
Okay. Residential use
Yes.
properties.
When you say you clean, how often do you clean the cages, the actual cages?
Okay, the cages, the whole cages, we clean every Sunday. Well, with water pressures, everything. But the shelves underneath the chicken, we clean them twice a day. It depends how like let's say maybe we have 3, 4 the cages with the full of chicken, we change those. And then the other ones will keep it clean. And then we'll, like that, but it's twice a day. Shelves twice a day, and then the whole place, everything, machines in this, we use water, we sanitize Clorox, and then clean the whole place every Sunday with water pressures. I have a video, if I have a chance later on, I'll show you how we clean.
What about the food trays?
The food,
Do you keep food trays in for the poultry?
yeah, it's, no, food, we have big drums, big containers.
So what do? You let the poultry out to eat out of the drums?
No, those, that's everything, that's including the shelves and everything, the food.
So how do they eat? And obviously they're still in cages, so you feed them individually, right?
Yeah, the food is hung to the side of the cage.
So you have a container for them?
Yeah, and then we have container and spoon. I will show you. I have that also on the video.
What I'm trying to get to, what about the water? Do you have water for them?
Yes. We have water, everything. USDA also make sure when they come in that the water is clean, the food is clean. And
Because what I'm getting to is salmonella.
Right.
What?
So salmonella, chickens carry salmonella.
Yes, that's chicken.
So have you ever had a sick chicken in your woodland store?
No.
What would you, now what if you did? Obviously, if they do carry a disease, and it gets on the surface, it could get somebody sick and so forth.
Right. Yeah.
What does the USDA inspector who comes in 4 or 5 times a day tell you?
No, they don't come in there. They come every week and every other week, and they come and test the chicken. Also, I forgot to mention, they test the chicken, all the chicken, and then they'll, if there's any virus or anything, they'll call me the same night, and then we'll stop and we'll kill all the chicken, and then we'll take them somewhere where they're growing them. Yeah, so our chicken is tested. First, they test the companies from the farms. Those people who bring the chicken, Gingrich Animal Supply and Watkins, Poultry Merchant, they come from Brooklyn, and Gingrich is from Lancaster. This company, they are tested from the USDA before they deliver the chicken. They are tested where, and then when they deliver the chicken also, the USDA will come and make sure they'll count the chicken, count the bills, check the dates. If everything is correct, then they test the chicken also, and then a couple of days later they'll send us a certificate every time with that the place has been tested and clean of virus.
Now you said you would have like 100 chickens in there at one time?
Yeah.
So they would check everyone, right?
They will count each chicken.
But would they test everyone for?
Yes. They will come and start from the door. They will check and count all the chicken, then they'll come to the office and ask for the bills.
I'm talking about testing them for the salmonella.
Yes, they do, yeah. Not all the time, they come like every 3 weeks. And they test for all the chicken, for any virus.
But they're in your store alive. So what happens if they get sick in your store? So who in your store is certified or qualified to recognize if a chicken's sick before you store them?
We have. I'm trained, and then all my employees are trained. We have a book, a binder from the USDA, and it shows all the signs when they have virus or when they have. We must call them right away. So I didn't bring the book.
Now, when USDA comes out and does the inspections, do they write up reports, or do they leave something with you every time this is done?
Yes, every time they come in, they leave a report and saying how the shelves work, how the floor, how the chicken are, and then they'll say everything on the report.
I just can't figure out how they come to you 4 or 5 times. You said in a month or a week?
Sometimes they come every week, sometimes every other week.
I mean, when the USDA is literally responsible for the whole United States to inspect poultry, meat, eggs, and everything else, but for some reason they find their way to your store 4 to 5 times.
No, it's not 4 to 5 times. The USDA of Agriculture, they come, there's special for livestock and live animals, like live chicken. And then we have a meat inspection that's different. They'll come and check the meat because we're not allowed to sell meat. You can't just cut the chicken and sell the meat. It's a wholesale. The buyer must buy the whole chicken. So USDA Agriculture, they come and buy the chicken live. And USDA, when they're coming, they make sure that the chicken are tested, but it's different. The eggs and all that is different. That's the health and meat. So USDA Agriculture is just
and then
the live animals.
And I guess my only other question would be, you said that he knows how long chicken's been there. Do you guys tag them or something?
No, we don't tag them, but they do count the chicken. So I'm sure.
Listen, I get that you say you count them, but you can move them and then recount them. I mean, you got to tag something. They tag sharks so they can find out which shark they're still following. But I mean, what do you tag? How are you going to count them? I can go in and count a room full of chickens too and say, oh, we still have 30, so I guess they're still the same amount. But I mean, how do you know which chickens are there? What if he comes in, there's 28, and then are we still different, or?
Yeah, one thing, because when I make the order, I make sure I make the order exactly on Sunday. Sunday, there will not be leftovers. There will be a little bit, and we move them to the front. To the other, we move them to the front, and then when a new order comes in, we load the chicken, and we make sure that. But most of the time, most of the weeks, that Sunday we will not have a lot of chicken left over.
If you do, what do you do with them? Move them to the front, right?
Yeah, we move them to the shelves, and they come in and count the chicken, and usually it's different. Different companies, different types of chicken. They can tell easily. there's no chicken breed there. And the chicken, the more they stay on the shelf, the more weak they got. They know, by the way, there's more than a week inside the shelf.
Well, my only concern is the CDC says on our website that live poultry should be kept outdoors at all times. Yeah, that's all I have.
What's the square footage of the building itself, the gross square footage?
2,000 square feet.
How many parking spaces are on the, Mark, do you know how many parking spaces are on the property presently?
Right about seven. But one's I don't even think
We
one's.
just had to hear him.
Yeah, and I don't think one's even designated for
Handicap though. So he's gonna have to, we're gonna have to that we even have to come in and be recalculated and everything else. So I'd have to look at it.
Do you have any plans, drawings showing parking for the proposed facility?
Yeah, not at this moment. I just have the building, but I'm willing to do the parking lot also. And I know it takes time. It takes time because the science and water paper and all that.
Okay, I have no further.
Can I ask the question?
Yes.
There wasn't a place in Fallcroft where you live that you could
I to be honest with you, I looked all over. Sharon Hill, Poultry, and
no place up there?
yeah, no place that fits this type of business, and especially Darby and Sharon Hill. There's a lot of customers. I have a lot of customers. Sometimes the problem I have in Woodland Avenue is the parking. You know, sometimes.
So you would have to park in there too. Also, because the neighbors across the street, they can't take, that would be fair.
No, I mean, just to start maybe one car, two car at a time. It's not like, like in Woodland Avenue because of the trolley and then
Right, I know Woodland
yes,
Avenue.
yes, that's the only, and I have a lot of customers from Derby, from Main Street to the east side. A lot of customers, Sharon Hill, I have a lot of customers coming to Woodland. That's why I thought this idea.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, we're not done. We're gonna
Oh,
open it
sorry.
up to the public. Anyone would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. When you stand, please state your name and your address. This gentleman right there in the front of it.
When you first started answering questions about how many chickens you were gonna have, you started out from 700 until you got spooked and dropped down to 100.
No.
Sir, and let's just.
I'm just
so-
asking a question.
Well,
No, wait.
bear with me. Before you ask a question, please identify yourself.
sorry.
Name and where you live.
I'm sorry.
And secondly, I just want to have some structure here. I think it's appropriate for members to have specific questions for the witness, and that's fine. If your comments, though, are general in nature, if they're not specifically oriented toward this witness, I'd ask that you wait till this witness then sits and you can make your general public comments. So go ahead. What is your name again, sir, and your address?
Joe Doyle, 210 Hamilton Avenue, Darby, PA.
Okay, thank you.
Right across the street from Crick, from where he wants to put this poultry place.
Okay. Do you have a question specifically of the witness?
And as far as where I didn't hear when he was speaking to you, so I'm just gonna ask if I'm wrong, I'll back off. As far as for the noise, because I've lived around them before, poultry houses, and they're kind of loud. That's the only reason I came to that. Because I live across the creek and I don't want to be woken up with screaming chickens, because they ain't quiet when they're getting killed.
I don't think I have. Yeah, I worked many years with live poultry. I don't think that much of noise. The noise they do make noise, but I don't think it's gonna go out of the door or the window.
Are they soundproof walls or doors or windows?
Yes. There will be no one more thing. There will be no windows in all the building. There will be no windows, just the front door, the gate, and then the back gate. And then I don't think the noise will go out of the door, or you can hear the chicken noise outside the store.
I'm looking for it. Yes, it is, or no, it's not.
No,
I don't think
yeah.
brand businesses, you should know.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go noise. No.
Another
Yeah.
thing.
Outside the store, I don't think it's gonna.
Okay, and when you were showing the video with the plastic bags,
Right.
if you rewind the video, if the feces were underneath the bags, not on them, in your video.
Oh, and the video, yes, but yes, sometimes they'll go, but also we rinse. I have another video that'll show how we completed. That's just a quick video. I wasn't thinking that they would allow me to bring video to the place. But we rinse the shelf. We take all those shelves out, and then we take the plastic, and then we rinse each shelf with water.
Now, is that water going into the gray water system?
No.
Or is it going into
No,
the septic system?
No, it's going to the soil. It's not going. All the water inside is going to the soil.
Into the soil?
To the soil.
Sewer?
Yeah.
Sewer?
Sewer, yeah. Excuse me, my language. Yeah, to the soil. So the storm will be clean outside, and then when we had delivery or anything, we'll back up the truck all the way up. I also have a video all the way to the inside. So I'm gonna have more than maybe 6 or 7 drains inside the place.
Okay, because I've been by your other store, I haven't had a chance to copy the pictures that I've taken of your Woodland store. It don't look like that daily bus. Not even close.
But that's not
Your Woodland store.
No, that's Woodland. Yes.
I know after you cleaned it up, it does not look like that on a daily basis.
No, that's how it looks like. Yes.
Okay, good.
I'll bring it up.
Everybody.
That's all I got to say.
Yes, you can come anytime and check.
I have.
Yeah, anytime. Camden or Woodland.
Janice?
Janice Davis, 48 North 10th Street, Darby. And my concern would be if you have like all this feed and feces and stuff around, and I know in that area, sometimes you have a tendency to see rats down there. Now, wouldn't this produce more rats in that area? And that's what I would be afraid of. And the rodent population, you know, down there with those chickens and the creek, yes.
Train trucks.
To be honest with you, I never have any. I have the health department reports, and this never had any mice, rats, or roaches, not even flies. We have all the flies, electrics. We never had that type of, because we clean daily, we clean the walls, we clean, but not even flies.
This lady right here. Then you, sir.
Okay. My name is Jillian Therigood, 1136 Kenwood Road. I am a huge asthmatic, and I'm worried about some of our residents who also might be asthmatic. What is poultry dust, and how should they be concerned about poultry dust?
The poultry, it depends how you clean, how this, but I think, to my experience, poultry is like a meat market. It's nothing more than a meat market. It's just you have a live, and then you kill, you clean, and then the end is meat.
So poultry dust is a mixture of bird feed, bedding materials, bird droppings, feather, dander, dust mites, storage mites, microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, and these things, when they get in the air, they can cause respiratory. So what causes poultry dust? Like I see it here because I'm looking at the different websites. So an asthmatic, I'm looking at one of the pictures. There's somebody who lives right next to this place who has a picnic table out. So how are they not going to get exposed to something like this, poultry dust?
Yeah, the one in the corner, I talk about the one in the corner.
Yeah.
No, it's far. To be honest with you, it's far because the whole, everything, there will be no windows in the back, and then the door is not gonna be the same. The only thing I was concerned about that place is to make something like from the traffic coming in, to not make any noise. But I saw that place and it's far.
Because everything is talking about people who work there should wear masks.
No.
So what about the residents? Should they be walking around with masks
No,
now?
I've been working for the last 12, 15 years. I never had any problems, and I also have employees here. I had 2 employees from Darby, and Woodland and Camden, and they can explain if we've never had any problem. I've been working all this time, and then I know it's a little. Everybody take it seriously when they hear of live poultry. All even when the chicken comes in, the delivery comes in, there will be even sometimes they will say, "Oh, what about the feather?" No, that small bag we put underneath the chicken, it collects everything, all the poops and the feathers, everything. And then after that, we take all the shells and rinse it. And to be honest with you, it's not that bad.
Good evening. My name is Harold Finnegan, and my family's owned the property at Mill and Main Street for 120 years. And I'm also representing my friend Abdul Jalal, who owns the property at 9 Mill Street. And it seems, I have many questions. First is, it seems like your business is very water intensive. Is the infrastructure in place to handle that?
I don't understand the question, sorry.
Every third sentence I hear, well, we wash this, we use water to hose this down, whatever. So my question is the facility was obviously never built with the intention of having a meat processing plant there.
Yes,
okay?
of course.
So the question is does the public drainage system of sufficient size to handle what you're proposed?
Yes. Basically, like I said, it's not mopping or sweeping. It's all water pressures.
Right.
So the drainage, everything will
right.
be
So we could go back and look at how much water you use at your other facility to get some idea as to whether the existing sanitary system would be capable of handling the load that you want to put on it.
Yes, and also
have you done that? Have you done those calculations?
Yes, I have the experience. I know how much water.
Let's not ask about specific calculations and just if you can address the specific question or hold general comment until after the
Absolutely. Are you familiar that are you familiar that the property floods regularly?
Oh, no, I'm not familiar, but I'm willing to fix everything, whatever it takes.
Well, you can't fix flooding, okay, in Darby. So my question is if there's a flood coming, what's your plan on evacuating all the live animals that you have on site? And where are they going?
If there's a flood, we'll empty them, take them back to the farm. It's easy, I think, There's always a way to...
yeah, well, the property floods regularly, okay, if you're familiar with Darby. Okay? Next question is, what do you think the point of zoning laws are?
Okay.
Thank you.
It's beyond the scope of what I think is
not really.
The lady in the purple.
Good evening. My name is Quintella Sessoms. I live at 208 Hamilton Avenue. I'm representing myself and my next door neighbor, Andrea Doyle, at 210 Hamilton, who is having surgery, so can't be here, but totally opposes. Let that be known. Okay, my question is, what about the smell? Because chickens stink. And when they're getting ready to die, animals have an innate ability to know that the end is near, and they put off this scent that it's going to be stinking. I mean, it's just going to stink. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, that's the main thing in this type of business. We have freezers for all trash. We don't leave any trash or anything. Like I said, we clean twice a day. After we clean, well, when we clean, it's not that.
No, the live ones, live chickens.
No, even live chicken, the chicken don't smell. What smells is the poop.
Let him respond to your question about odor. The general question is, are there odor issues? Do you expect those?
Yeah, not after we clean, the chicken doesn't smell. It may smell differently, not the way you think. But the poops and all that, it smells. If you leave it, over 12 hours, 13 hours, that's why we clean twice a day. And also we will have, when we close the door and like let's say maybe 500 chicken inside the store, it takes 1 power horse of duck to suck the air and refresh the air. It's not that bad after you clean. So
but your number keep going up and down with how many chickens
no,
I'm not clear
okay,
on
to be
that.
honest with you, over here, I don't know yet. You asked me for something, so I don't know.
You don't know how many chickens going to be in this.
No, but it's a new business. It's a new business.
The question dealt with odor. I think the testimony's already been in about the number of chickens he has, and there's been questions about that as well. So.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Okay, last comment. Well.
Hi, Luella Richardson, Darby Borough. Would I be correct in saying, because this is considered a slaughterhouse?
Yes.
Okay. So what about the air quality? How does this affect the air quality? Does it?
Well, we will have ducts. Like I said, after we clean, if we clean twice a day with water, and there will not be much inside the store. And we will have a duct. One power hose of duct will be enough to refresh the air. And the bad smell, where the smell comes from, and all that is from the chicken poops. If we clean that and we put everything trash and testing all that in the freezer.
Okay, what about EPA? What role do they play, if there's any role they play in this planning process?
I'm sorry, what?
EPA.
EPA?
Environmental Protection Agency. Do you have to do anything with them? As far as the environment goes, as the lady was stating about her asthma, anything with the environment?
No, nothing. It's just the USDA of Agriculture, health inspection, and then the meat inspections. That's it.
So you're also inspected by USDA and the state?
And the state also, yes. And the state and the health local health
So
inspection.
the EPA doesn't have a role in it?
No.
Ricardo Gill, 702 Walnut Street. I looked at the video you just had, and I didn't see any ventilation in that video as far as the establishment you were in. Where is the air going in the establishment?
Yeah, the air, we had like, in Woodland Avenue, we have 3 power holes.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes all the way to the top. Like I said, there will not be much air coming in. Everything is clean inside. It's just to refresh the air. There's no smoke or no coming out. It's just to refresh the air.
So there's no ventilation whatsoever in the store?
What do you mean? Yeah, there is. In each store, there's there's duct. I don't know what you call them. It's duct.
Duct?
Yeah,
air duct?
Yes.
It keeps the air circulating?
Yes.
And how often are they cleaned?
It depends, like, every 2 months, 3 months.
That long?
Yeah, but.
And you run in the store on a daily basis?
Yes, but, the thing is, you're talking about the big duct going in. No, it's just a straight duct with the fan on the top that sucks the air, 3 power holes.
Just beside the finger, that's all?
Yes, all the way down to the, because there's no smoke. There's no smoke, it's not,
is there any air conditioning whatsoever in the store?
Well, no air conditioning, but we have heating. It depends that if you want to put air conditioning. And then in Woodland, I don't have any air conditioning. I have in Camden. I have a heater and air conditioning, just for the employees and where the customers stand.
No disrespect to you, but don't you think air conditioning was...
No, sir, you can ask the question he's asked. The commentary again, just, if you want to make a general comment when the witness is finished, that's fine. Any others?
Good question.